So now we'll look at number 6 from the test drive. How much money should be deposited today in an account that earns 7.6% interest compounded weekly so that will accumulate to $5,000 in 3 years? Round your answer up to the nearest cent. So, it's a compound interest problem. It's compound weekly, but now we're trying to figure out how much I need to put in today, what I have to presently put in. So that tells us on our formula sheet, we're going to be looking at the second 100 compound interest. So let's go ahead and write it down. So we'll just go ahead and copy the formula down. So if I can get the camera to focus here. There we go. And we're writing down the second one. So in our problem, we want to have $5,000 in the future. Interest rate is 7.6%, so we're going to write that as 0.076. It's compounded weekly. Well, there's 52 weeks in a year, so we're going to be using 52 here. And then we want to do this over 3 years. So we're going to pull out our calculator and we're going to punch it in. And then hit enter. And now remember the directions they told us to round up, because normally we would round that off to 28 cents. But they told us to round up. So even though that's a 3, because the directions say to round up, we're going to round off to 29 cents. So it'd be $3,981.29. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 7. What is the effective annual yield on the account that pays 7.25% interest compounded daily? Round to the nearest hundredth. So this is the one compound interest where we don't have a whole lot of information. All we have is the interest rate and what n is. So that forces our hand. This is the only formula we're going to be able to use here in this problem. And that's actually the correct formula we want to use. Now keep in mind, when you solve for get y here, it's going to be in terms of a decimal. And so we're going to have to change it into a percentage. So our rate here was 7.25%, so we write that as 0.0725. And it's compounded daily, so we're going to use Branco's rule. We're going to use 360 here, not 365. And then we're going to plug that into our calculator. Make sure you hit the right arrow here and then do subtract 1. All right, so let's write that number down. We're going to slide our decimal point over 2 places. And then we're going to round that off. So that becomes 7.52%. And so that would be our answer. All right, let's take a look at number 9. Sorry, number 8, excuse me. Wanting to invest $200 per month in a mutual fund that historically returns 9% growth compound monthly. After 30 years, how much will she have in her mutual fund? So now we're making periodic deposits. So that's going to force us down here under annuities. So the question is, do you have the total amount? Or do you have the total amount, or do you have the monthly payment? And here we've got how much we're putting in, or how much we're putting in per month. So that means we're going to be using this first formula here. So let's write that thing down. Alright, so if we're looking at this problem, we know that she's putting $200 in a month. So P sub M is going to be our 200. They tell us what the interest rate is. R here is 9%, so write that as a decimal. And let me go and throw on the bottom here too. And then it's compounded monthly. So that's going to tell us that N is 12. And then we're doing this for 30 years. So all we're doing is just plugging in that 0.09 wherever we see an R. We're plugging in 12 for N and T for 30. And then just take your time when you're entering this into your calculator. So I'm going to do fraction. Got 200 parentheses 1 plus fraction key 0.09, hit the down arrow 12, hit the right arrow, close it off, caret key 12 parentheses 30. I'm going to hit my right arrow key because I need to get back down on the level here. Subtract 1, close it out. Then I'm going to hit my down arrow key. I'm going to do parentheses, fraction key 0.09, down arrow 12, right arrow, close the parentheses off. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit the enter key. So that gives us $366,148.70. If you go ahead and round that. Let's take a look at number 9. Clara finances a $19,000 car with a 4-year loan of 5.25% interest. What is her monthly payment? So this is now an installment loan. So we're going to hop down here and we're going to use this formula here. We're trying to find her monthly payment. So we'll go ahead and write down the formula. So first of all, we have to identify the P. And here it's 19,000. Next, we're going to identify R, and they told us the interest rate here was 5.25%. So I'm going to write that as a decimal, 0.0525. And see, we also have it down here. And this is, she's making monthly payments, so we're going to do compound monthly. So my end's going to be 12. And again, I have to be a little bit careful here because I got a negative there. And then our time here is, she's doing a 4-year loan. So our time here is going to be 4. So now we're going to go ahead and plug those into our calculator. Again, be patient. Take your time. So you're going to do your fraction key, 19,000, parentheses, fraction key, 0.0525 over 12, close the parentheses. And then we're going to go to the bottom, parentheses, 1, subtract, parentheses, 1 plus fraction key 0.0525 over 12, close the parentheses, caret key, now remember, use the negative sign next to the enter key, 12, parentheses 4, hit your down arrow, your right arrow, close it off. And then again, sometimes on the directions, they might ask you to round up. And problem number 9, they did not ask to round up. So we will just round it off as is. And we'll say $439.71. All right, let's take a look at problem number 10. How much does Mike have to deposit per month in an account paying 8.25% interest compound monthly to have $80,000 in an account after 20 years? All right, so we're making periodic deposits again. So that means we've got to use our annuity formula. And we're trying to figure out how much he has to pop in there per month. So that's going to force us using the second formula because we're trying to figure out how much we have to put in per month. So with this one, he's trying to accumulate $80,000, so that's our A value. Our interest rate here is 8.2%, so 0.082. And we're doing it monthly, so N here would be 12. And so we're doing this for 20 years. So T would be 20. So now we're going to put this in our calculator. So we're going to do our fraction key, 80,000, parentheses, fraction key, 0.082 over 12. Right arrow, close off the parentheses. Down arrow, parentheses, parentheses, 1 plus fraction key, 0.082 over 12. Right arrow, close it off. Caret key, 12 parentheses 20. Right arrow, subtract 1. And then we go ahead and we're going to hit our enter key. So we'll go ahead and round that off to $132.48. So that would be your answer.